The following programming is sponsored by Mark J. Bernstein. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Entrepreneur, founder, author, and financial advisor Mark Bernstein helps high-performing business owners turn their visions into reality. Through his innovative work and the Forward Focus Forums, Mark connects entrepreneurs to resources that fuel their success. Founders Forum is a radio show and podcast where entrepreneurs share their journeys, revealing the lessons they've learned and the stories behind their success. Join Mark and his guests for a mix of inspiration, valuable insights, and a little fun. Now, let's dive in.
Good morning, America. How are you? I hope you're having a better morning than I am. I'm serious. I'm having a lot of first world problems this morning. Nothing major, but it's just one of those days. It's a gray and cold day in November in Philadelphia. And for those of you who are listening as a podcast, you may or may not know this is a live radio show. So both myself and Renee, who's my guest this morning, have had some issues getting here. So we kind of just ran in, and I love that actually because it makes for a great radio. So good morning, Renee.
Good morning.
It's so nice to have you here. This is a long time coming for both of us. We were introduced, I don't know, over a year ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so anyway, due to our schedules and everything else, we're finally here, and I'm trying to utilize Renee in terms of her business, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a few minutes. And, so I'm very happy to meet you and very happy to be here together. So the topic for today, I always start with the topic of the day, is clarity. And I am pretty clear these days in terms of my priorities and what I'm doing in the different aspects of my business and my life. But sometimes things get in the way. And this morning, I was having lack of clarity getting here because of a number of different reasons. First of all, I have a self-driving car. My self-driving car took me on a way that ended up having construction and having delays and whatever. And so then I also needed to eat breakfast, and I was reaching in to take all my multiple supplements that I take in the morning. And I was like, wow, these are really rough. It turns out I just swallowed a bunch of nuts, which were supposed to be my snack.
Instead of pills? Or vitamins?
Right.
Oh my God.
So they're still floating around down there.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, how does clarity occur to you these days? What does it mean?
My, clarity. I feel like if you're an entrepreneur, you get bits and pieces of it.
Right.
Silver linings here and there. I'm a busy entrepreneur, but layered with being a wife and a mom.
Sure, got the balancing act.
The moments of clarity often come for me when I'm, not focused on work, when I'm spending time with my family in that regard. But then clarity in my business is, getting off a team call where everyone's smiling and happy, and maybe they had a ton of successful clients from weekend parties. Or clarity might be looking at my P&L and saying, hey, I had a really good month. Mm-hmm. I didn't spend too much money this month. So for me, it comes in slivers, I feel like. But there's definitely certain times of the year where I feel more clarity. Right now, we're in our busy season, so I feel really good and hopeful. But then, our numbers sort of drop in the beginning of the year, and that's when every year, I've been doing this for over 10 years, I have that panic like...
Well, we haven't told people what you do, but you're a party planner. No, it's okay. Let's stop for a second.
Yeah.
We'll go back to clarity. So Renee Patrone Rhinehart is founder and CEO of Events by Renee and Party Host Helpers, and a nationwide event staffing company. And Events by Renee is an award-winning wedding and corporate event planning firm. She is a natural connector, which I know that for a fact, and leader. She's known for making hosts feel like guests at their own parties while empowering her team across the country to deliver exceptional hospitality. Renee is has frequent appearances on TV and speaks at industry events, inspiring others through her passion for people, leadership, and celebration. Mm-hmm. So now with that background, so obviously January, February, probably slower months for you.
They are.
Right.
So, but that's also a great time for me to strategize and look forward to the year and gain clarity in that regard. So
that was my question. So you're a planner. Mm-hmm. And I find myself when I have planned, and I'm at that point right now, I need to relook at my plan, write it down, make adjustments, and that's when I have clarity. It sounds like similar for you.
It is. So, we set our goals for the year. I personally spent a lot of time creating a vision board.
Great.
Yeah, I know. I looked at mine recently. I was like, I have 6 weeks to make this happen.
Nice.
But a few things I did make happen. So
Can you
that's
get an
exciting.
example, one thing that you have 6 weeks to make happen on your vision board?
Yes. So I want, this is a personal thing, but I have like a build out. I want to add a build out in my kitchen for a dry bar and some shelves. And my mother-in-law so kindly is giving my husband and I a lump sum for Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
My husband said, why don't we get a price on that and see if we can get that done? I said, that's on my vision board. Yes, let's do it.
So magic happens, see, when you envision something.
Exactly. Yeah. And I put a big family vacation. We went on a Disney cruise this summer. I hadn't even thought about that in January when I made the vision board. So
pretty amazing. It's amazing when you have a thought and you visualize it and you focus on it, how sometimes things just by accident and by magic or by the universe or God or whatever you want to believe, it happens. Right? It happens.
Yeah.
We did that together. That was nice. So Renee, tell us your story. How did you get into that crazy business?
Yes, and it is a crazy business. I'm glad that you recognize that, Mark.
I was a musician in bands. I played weddings for many years. I know it's a
so
crazy
you get it.
business.
You see behind the scenes. So
I'll tell you later my most famous wedding I played at and the
Oh.
disaster that it was.
Oh,
but
no.
not famous like famous people.
Oh.
But a great story, an amazing story.
Okay.
Well, I'll just tell you real quick.
Go ahead.
The band didn't show up. They were in an accident, a truck accident in high school. And we were still in high school. The singer in my band calls me, and you didn't have cell phones or anything back then, says, get the band together. We got a gig. Because he was working it was at a church,
Yeah.
a church hall. So I got the band all together amazingly. We get over there. You'd think these people would be thrilled, but they were as drunk as anything. They were all upset because they had no band. And the father of the bride said, of course you're going to play Daddy's Little Girl.
Oh, and you never played that.
We didn't know
Shoot.
Daddy's. And you couldn't, it's not like today you can look it up on your
Yeah.
phone and learn it in 10 minutes. We were like, hey, in a nice way, we're trying to say, be thankful we're
Yeah,
here.
that you're here.
But he was really drunk, got really upset,
dear.
got into a fist fight with our singer. We and some of the guests had to break it up. The bride was crying. It turned out well. The wedding turned out to be a lot of fun. But there was so much pent up emotion because their band didn't show up.
That's a horror story.
Anyway, so that's how I know it's a crazy business, among other things. But
Sure. So my first career was in PR and marketing. I worked at a small agency, but then my first real big girl job was at Mainline Today magazine, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners know. And I learned so much in the few years.
I know the owner. We talked about
Yeah,
that.
Rob, yeah. I learned so much those first couple years, really the importance of networking that set the path for me going forward, and just so many connections that I still am in touch with now, which is crazy 20 years later. But then in 2007 into 2008, which I don't know if anyone remembers how bad the economy was that year, I had a business partner at the time and we started an event planning company. I was in my 20s. I thought, I'll do corporate events. I don't want to do weddings. I had no idea what I was doing. The economy crashed and I took what I could get, which was weddings because of my age and just, the people who I hung out with were all getting married and referring me. So I had Events by Renee since 2007 and I didn't go full time with it until 2015. And a lot of people don't understand that. It takes time for an entrepreneur to build their business. Other wedding and event planners that were in the Philadelphia area with me, maybe they had funding from a family member or they were married. And I was a single girl, networking my butt off, working as a babysitter, working part-time at PR firms and still running my business. I remember at one point I had a medical meeting planning full-time job, but I'd go sit in my car on my lunch break to talk to the brides that I had that weekend. And it was just wild. So fast forward a bunch of jobs. I thought of the idea for Party Host Helpers around 2013. Being an event planner, I had clients come back to me say, hey, you planned my daughter's wedding. I need a bartender this weekend. You know everyone. Who can you send me? And I thought, you know what? There is definitely an opportunity in the Philadelphia area to start a company like this. There were some competitors, but I had a different hold on the market, I feel. And I started it. And less than 2 years later, we were launching in other cities left and right.
You still had your partner at this point?
No, the partner and I had split probably around 2009-ish. So it was just me going forward. Gotcha. And Party Host Helpers was the answer to a lot of life problems or life situations, because I knew I didn't want to be on my feet every weekend as a wedding or event planner, but I knew I wanted to make money and I knew I wanted to stay in the industry. I had a passion, and I still have a passion for people and events, and Party Host Helpers was a great way for me to create my next career path. So we are now nationwide, Party Host Helpers. We have 40,000 gig workers in our system who could work for us at any time, whether it's a bartender, whether it's a server, whether it's just a general helper who comes to your home, puts the food out. When I started this company, I thought that it would be just residential, mainline moms who needed some extra support on maybe at their kid's birthday party, but we quickly had caterers hiring us to supplement their team. Hey, Renee, I need 20 or maybe 30 servers this weekend. Can you help? And then it turned into corporate business. So now we're doing a lot of meetings in places like Scottsdale Convention Center or Vegas, where they need 10 to 20 of our people every day for a week. We've done stuff with the PGA, Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus, Hermes, high-end fashion brands. Think of us when they need support at small or large events. So I still have Events by Renee. We're still doing weddings and corporate events. I have a great team there. But Party Host Helpers is really the national company that blew up after all my years of networking and praying and hoping for my entrepreneurial journey to just get better each year. And here we are.
It's amazing. So some of it sounds like you fell into things, but I believe that that's never by accident. You at least have to be open to opportunities.
Yep.
So,
you have to be open. And it was a lot of scheming and dreaming and getting other people's experience shares and opinions when I was starting this out and how to structure it. So
how many employees do you actually have besides your gig workers?
So we have about 10 of us, and some are scattered all over the country. Some are here, and they're managing the teams and the clients.
You are, I know you're a busy person. By the way, I'm going to be in Scottsdale this weekend. You're not doing a nonprofit sort of conference.
Oh, great.
At the Resort and Spa, Scottsdale Resort and
Nice.
Spa. I think you haven't done work there, have you?
I don't know. I'll have to look at our roster. We're at AAID this week, which is like a big dental conference.
In Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, assuming I can get on a plane, I think I'll be.
I know. I'm worried about that.
By the way,
too.
we're in the government shutdown right now for whenever you're listening to this, but looks like it's over. It looks like the planes will be flying. But so what do you, in the growth of the business, it sounds like this all happened magically, but as we say, and we know we also were met through EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and we know that entrepreneurs, it's always a smooth ride, right?
Always.
So you had challenges along the way. What kind of challenges on the way up can you describe? And
thinking back and looking back, I think that I really learned a lot of grit and just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Like I said, I didn't have a dad to put food on my table. He had died when I was in my early 20s. I was single until I met my husband in my late 30s. I mean, obviously dating, but, it's not like I had the stability. So I had to really be gritty and do what I could to make sure that I was paying my rent on time. And, it wasn't quite dire halfway through the adventure, I guess. But it's hard when you don't have that support. And it's really hard to strike it out on your own. And sometimes I think if I was doing this now as a 44-year-old woman versus a 27-year-old woman, I don't think I would have had the guts. I think I have guts now to do other things because a lot of my fellow women, business women say, they're like, Renee, you're so fearless. You just say yes and you go for it. I'm like, man, I was much more fearless in my 20s.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that girl I was to be who I am now. But another hardship was obviously COVID, and I hate talking about it, but it really knocked down my industry. Both my businesses had no business. I was from the Events by Renee side, we're doing outdoor weddings with like 10 people. We're canceling vendors left and right. We're moving things around. I know my fellow Philadelphia wedding vendors had it really rough too. And then Party Host Helpers, I mean, there literally was no business. And I don't tell a lot of people this, but I was newly married. We were trying to get pregnant, trying to buy a house, and I think a part of it was to make a little extra money, but a part of it was also just to keep myself sane. I went and got a couple part-time jobs for a few months. I was a babysitter and I worked at the wine and spirit store in Westchester. And, I got pregnant while I was working there. We signed on a great house.
Humbling too.
It's very humbling.
Right? So
it's very humbling from going, from being running $1 million, almost $2 million company at that point and being my own boss. I think that I look back now and I'm proud of my character because it shows that I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty still. And I do what I had to do for my mental state and my family.
And also that risk taker that you were in your 20s, I'm sure you found that person again in a lot of ways. And I'm sure you will again when you need her. You know, that'll come again. By the way, we have to take a really quick commercial break.
Great.
We'll be back in 60 seconds and see you in a minute.
The Sattel Institute is the leading CEO member organization dedicated to corporate social responsibility. Under the vision and leadership of its founder, entrepreneur and philanthropist Ed Sattel, the Institute brings together CEOs in Philadelphia and other cities to support the nonprofit organizations that do heroic work in our communities. The Sattel Institute believes that community is every leader's business. SI's members-only meetings and private CEO conferences give members the opportunity to hear from world-class thought leaders on crucial topics like AI, education, corporate philanthropy, and more. In addition, CEO members get the opportunity to share ideas and experience with their peers, like-minded CEOs who believe in the importance of giving back to the community and who understand the benefits companies get from embracing corporate social responsibility. The Sattel Institute charges no dues or fees. In order to join, member companies simply make a long-term commitment to the nonprofit of their choice. To find out more about membership and why so many leading companies are now part of the Sattel Institute, visit the organization's website at sattelinstitute.org. Sattel, S-A-T-E-L-L, institute.org. As Ed Sattel says, think we, not just me.
We're back on Founders Forum with our guest today, Renee Patrone Rhinehart. And Renee, we were just talking about some significant challenges you had in business. What strengths do you think you came out of all of that with?
Oh, I think resilience. And I think also just a bit of a reality check that things could change tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing it not necessarily in my business, but I know AI and offshore help is changing a lot of businesses. I don't think there'll be robots serving food anytime soon, but, nothing is permanent and nothing... Right. With COVID, it's just to see how much change could happen so quickly. So I think that the spin on that is just to appreciate everything.
Well, I see, I'm going to use a word that was used a lot that I think describes you, and tell me if it does. And we've heard a lot of it on the show, but you also learned to pivot.
I know.
Right,
Don't you hate that word?
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
as entrepreneurs, we heard it every day, all day.
Of course, and it's been overused, but it's true, though.
It is. And, post-COVID, our business really skyrocketed because there was so much backlog of clients.
Right.
And then our caterers needed support because they had gotten rid of all their staff. And now we're sort of evening out, and I'm ready to get to the next level in 26 and 27 again. But, yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
I'll bet it has. Let's talk about the future, because I know you're someone who looks ahead. If this is November of 2025, if it was November of 2028, and you and I, let's say we're sitting here, we have a catch-up show in 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking back on the last 3 years, what would have had to happen in your life, and you can talk about personally, business-wise, professionally, anything else, philanthropically, whatever comes to mind, what does that look like for you?
I think professionally, I would love to continue my personal brand as the owner of these two companies and the event expert. So that means that I get to be out of the everyday minutia of my company, and I get to do things like this that I'm doing with you. Being on the Today Show has been on my vision board the last 10 years of my life. I'm often on local stations like Fox 29. I'm going to Houston next week to do a Fox segment. I do a lot on our social media. And just continuing that and growing my presence, because I do think that helps build my business. More speaking engagements. I speak about relationship marketing as well as my aversion to saying no and how that got me to where I am now. and also building the brand internationally. We get a lot of inquiries from places like Australia and England and Canada, and that's always next level for me. And then personally, I would love our family to buy a beach house. That's been on my vision board for like 20 years. No, it's been at least 15. So just, continuing to have a profitable business so I can get some fun extra things for our family.
So you're a Philadelphian, so you're going to buy a shore house. That's what we
I guess. Yeah.
What town? Do you know what town?
I mean, we love Sea Isle City.
I knew you were going to say Sea Isle.
Yeah, we love Sea Isle. Before I met my husband, I did shared houses for years in Avalon. I was the house mom, way too much fun back in the day. But now we love going to Sea Isle, but I love Cape May too. We spent a lot of time in Cape May in the off season. So we'll see.
So these challenges, building your brand, you being the expert and leaving the rest of the business to, I'm sure you'll still lead it, but
of course,
but having other people with, I call it unique abilities in place to be able to do those things.
Yep.
What challenges do you see in getting there?
Yeah, so for us, technology has come a long way since I started this company, but we still have hiccups. We're looking for sometimes new providers, then we realize, oh wait, the one we have is maybe a better fit. So it's kind of like making those decisions, but my industry has also changed with party staffing. There's a lot more competitors on the scene that are much more app-based and have a ton of Silicon Valley money behind them. So for me, it's finding that sweet spot where we're still growing and using the technology to help propel us and just fine-tuning processes. I mean, we've streamlined so much in the last 2 years with technology and just different processes, like even just, phone systems and things like that. So my COO is constantly finding new platforms for us to be more successful.
Will you need to develop your own apps, let's say, to do?
So we have an app for our helpers. We don't have an app for the client.
I was going to say for the gig workers, that would be very
We
helpful.
do have an app for them, yes. Yeah. So they check in and out when they're there. In EO, a lot of times I'll talk to some fellow members about getting, because I have no outside funding for this company. Yep. And to possibly next level get funding to get custom technology. But that might not solve all of our problems either.
Well, technology doesn't solve everything.
I know.
It can help,
right.
but it doesn't solve.
Yeah.
And it sometimes creates others, as you're saying.
I think even taking the time, like we talked about earlier in 2026, just to really map out my vision a little bit more intricately than I have in the past. And I recommend that to all other CEOs.
Do you, what kind of things do you recommend to other leaders in your position? Because I know you're an EO. Yeah. I know you share ideas.
Get involved. I've always been the type of person, and maybe I learned this from my mom, who was always involved, whether it was in high school and I was in youth group or I was in Girl Scouts in middle school. And I mean, we were out every night. Sports, Girl Scouts. And being an only child, I think that was important for my parents to make sure that I was doing things like that.
Yeah.
And I married an only child, and we have an only child.
Wow.
So I value that now as a mom, but I've always gotten involved. I've always sat on committees and boards. So currently I am on the board for EO. And then I'm really involved in National Association of Women Business Owners. It's NAWBO for short. And I'm currently the president-elect of our South Jersey chapter. Wow. So in July, I will be inducted in as the president.
Nice.
And I'm so thankful for that.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's great.
Yeah, we have some great corporate sponsors, all the hospitals in the area, and it's just a really wonderful group. This weekend is our big March of Dimes Gala. I sit on the executive leadership team for that. It's at the Four Seasons. I've done a lot of just running around, running the auction. So I'm excited to see that unfold on Saturday. But for me, it's like, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to give back and you have to get involved because no one will know who you are. These are things that come naturally to me, and then business naturally flows because of my relationships and years and years of networking and just having a strong network. And for me, it was always like, what can I do for you? Not what can I get from people that I was meeting. And I think that attitude of being a servant
of service,
has helped.
Yep. I find the same thing. I know you weren't able to come, but we started our Founders Forum Network.
I wanted to ask how it was. Yeah.
Well, it was great. And some of the comments I got, and I don't really think about this, is that, boy, you really want to help us grow.
So nice.
And I do that. And some, and I'm in the financial services business. I've not been good in the 2.5 years I've had the show of promoting
Your
what
business.
I do for a living because I'm so involved in trying to help everyone else. But we're starting to work on that now.
Good.
In fact, we're working on our branding around that. And we did introduce that at the event, and people
Awesome.
And we're meeting with a number of the people that are interested in us helping them as a company. So
Great.
So it's, but I hadn't really thought about it much. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I did this because
You're just
I'm
focused on this.
passionate about it, and I love to do it. I knew somehow it would help my business, but I didn't have clarity when I started about it, So it's kind of interesting. I know you must be a reader because I can tell by what comes out of your mouth that you've read a lot. What are your favorite kind of books to read?
So I know I should say business books.
No, you shouldn't. You should say.
I have a really hard time focusing on reading the business books. So often I'll do audio or Audible.
That's okay.
Apparently there's an app that my EO, Katie, told me about. I need to download it where it kind of condenses things and gives you that. But I love Elin Hilderbrand books. Just good summer reads. I don't know if you know her. All of her books take place.
I've read about her. I've never read any of her books.
A lot of her books take place in either Nantucket or the Virgin Islands. I love the beach. I love the vibes. So I could tear through those books. And for me as an entrepreneur, it's like my brain needs that break.
Yeah.
And to be involved, not be involved is probably not the right word, but to dive into a book and not look at my email or my texts and just read, it helps my brain a lot.
I've spent my life reading a lot of business and leadership and personal growth books and all that, and I still love them. But lately, I've found I'm reading novels now because just to give your mind a break, and it helps your imagination, helps you stimulate creativity, and I'm seeing a lot of, and it's relaxing.
It
like
is.
you said. So it's
it sort of transports me. I listen to podcasts. I love Mel Robbins, and I honestly, in this day and age, we're so used to scrolling that I get that information just by on Instagram on certain motivational speakers and business people that I like. So I get tidbits there.
We all do, in little bites now. That's where the little bite.
I don't know I don't know if that's good for our brains long term.
One last question. We have less than a minute.
Okay.
If you could speak to your younger self, what advice would you give you?
Don't get so stressed. I feel like I know I said that I was adventurous before, but I definitely let the weight of financial burdens affect me back then.
And read Hildebrand.
And Elin, Elin Hildebrand. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got to do something to relax yourself.
De-stress.
And de-stress. Renee, it's been such a great pleasure. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Me too.
Thanks for being here. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week on Founders Forum.
Woohoo.
We hope you enjoyed your time with Founders Forum and that you found value to take with you throughout your day. Join us again next week for another episode of Founders Forum on WXKB 1039 HD2.